She had only been in Willow Creek for a week. The town's streets were quiet, lined with maple trees showing their first hints of autumn gold. Emily adjusted the scarf around her neck and walked slowly, letting the crisp air settle her racing thoughts. Moving to a new town was supposed to be exciting, but so far it had felt more like stepping into a stranger's dream, one she couldn't quite recognize as her own. Her apartment overlooked a narrow street that wound into the older part of town. Shops and houses leaned toward each other like old friends sharing secrets. Emily had promised herself she would explore every corner, discover the hidden charms, and maybe, in time, make this place feel like home. Today's walk had no real destination. She let her feet guide her. Around each corner, she noticed details she might have missed if she had been driving. A rusty mailbox, a dog barking behind a gate, a swing swaying gently in a yard where a child had just run through. The simplicity of these things calmed her. For the first time in days, she felt her shoulders loosen. Then it happened. She paused mid-step at a small ivy-covered porch. Something about it stopped her in her tracks. There, lying casually on the edge of the step, was a tiny stuffed rabbit. Its fur was worn, threadbare in places, and one of its ears had been stitched back together. Emily's breath caught. It was her rabbit, or at least it had been. The exact same one she had carried everywhere as a child, the one she had hugged through nights of thunderstorms, the one she had left behind when she moved across the country at the age of 10. Seeing it here, on a stranger's porch in a town she had never visited, felt impossible. Her mind raced. How could it have ended up here? Did someone know her story? Or was it simply coincidence, some strange twist of fate? She crouched to pick it up, but a woman's voice startled her. "Oh, you like that?" Emily looked up to see a tall woman with soft brown eyes and a gentle smile standing in the doorway. She seemed older than Emily, but not by much, maybe in her early 40s. "Yes," Emily managed to say. "I mean, it's just, I used to have a rabbit, just like this." The woman tilted her head slightly. "It's been in my family for a long time. Found it at a yard sale years ago. Why?" Emily's fingers lingered on the worn fur. A rush of memories overwhelms her. Her childhood home, laughter in the garden, the way her father used to tell her bedtime stories while she clutched that very rabbit. Her voice trembled. It looks exactly like mine. I haven't seen it in years." "It does have that charm, doesn't it? It reminds me of my daughter. She was about your age when she lost hers. I think it's a little miracle that something so old and loved finds its way to a new home." Emily's heart thumped, an odd mixture of nostalgia and confusion. She wanted to ask more, how it had traveled so far, who had left it here, but the words caught in her throat. There was something about the way the woman looked at her, like she knew more than she was saying. She tucked the rabbit under her arm, feeling its familiar weight, as though it was a bridge between her past and this new life she was still trying to embrace. Emily smiled faintly. "Thank you. I think it's exactly what I needed today." The woman nodded. "Sometimes the smallest things remind us of who we are. Don't be a stranger. Come by anytime." Emily continued her walk, her mind spinning with questions she didn't yet have the courage to ask. How had this little rabbit, a relic of her childhood, ended up here? And why did it feel like the town itself had been waiting to remind her of something she had forgotten? If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. As she walked further down the street, the rabbit tucked close to her chest, Emily realized that the quiet charm of Willow Creek was hiding something, a secret waiting for her to uncover. And somehow, she had a feeling her life was about to change in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Emily's apartment felt different that evening. The small rabbit sat on her kitchen counter, its worn fur catching the soft glow of the lamp. She couldn't stop glancing at it, as if it held answers she wasn't yet ready to hear. For the first time since moving, the walls that had felt empty seemed alive, almost whispering memories she hadn't thought about in years. She poured herself a cup of tea, her hands shaking slightly. Childhood memories she had tucked away came rushing back. The summer afternoons spent in her old backyard, the way sunlight had poured through her bedroom window, the quiet moments when her father would hum a tune just for her. That rabbit had been there through all of it, a silent companion. And now, here it was again, as if fate itself had delivered it to her doorstep. The next morning, Emily decided to walk back to the house with the porch where she had found the rabbit. Maybe the woman had more to tell her. Maybe there was something important she needed to know. She didn't know why, but she felt a pull stronger than curiosity. It felt urgent, almost magnetic. When she arrived, the house looked the same as yesterday. Ivy climbing lazily up the walls, wind chimes hanging in the corner of the porch. The woman was there, tending to a small garden. Emily hesitated, then approached. "Hi," Emily said softly. I wanted to ask you something about the rabbit." "Of course. I was hoping you'd come back. I think you might be the first person in years who really understood its value." Emily shifted uncomfortably. "I guess. I just don't understand how it got here. I mean, I moved to this town last week. It feels impossible." The woman wiped her hands on her apron. "Sometimes things travel in mysterious ways. Things meant to find us, find us." She paused, studying Emily's face. "But maybe there's more to it. Tell me, do you remember Willow Creek when you were little?" Emily blinked, surprised. Not really. I was too young to remember much. Why?" "Because," the woman said, her voice soft, "there are memories we carry with us, even if we don't realize it. This rabbit, it belonged to someone who grew up here. And maybe it's not just a coincidence you found it." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to ask more, but the woman's gaze held something she couldn't quite place, a mixture of hope, fear, and something unspoken. Emily felt like she was standing on the edge of a secret that had been waiting for her all her life. That night, Emily sat on her balcony, the rabbit in her lap. She thought about her parents, about the move when she was 10, about the life she had left behind. There was a quiet ache in her chest, a longing for the pieces of herself that had been scattered across the years. And yet, holding that rabbit, she felt a spark, a small, bright reminder that maybe some things lost could be found again. The next morning, Emily woke with a restless energy. She needed to explore more, to understand the strange connection she felt to the town, to the woman, and to the rabbit. She packed a small bag and decided to visit the local library, hoping to find old records, anything that might explain the mysterious appearance of her childhood toy. The library smelled of aged paper and polished wood. Rows of shelves stretched up like walls of secrets. Emily ran her fingers along the spines, tracing the years that had passed since she was last in a place like this. She asked the librarian about town records, old families, anything related to toys or childhood landmarks. The librarian raised an eyebrow, but was kind, pulling out dusty ledgers and newspaper clippings. Hours passed as Emily combed through the information, and then, tucked between two yellowed pages of a local paper from 20 years ago, she found it. A small photograph of a young girl clutching a rabbit that looked exactly like hers. Beneath the photo was a name, Lily Henderson. Emily felt her stomach tighten. Lily Henderson. The name seemed familiar, like a half-forgotten song playing just out of reach. Suddenly, the photograph fell from her hands, as though the paper itself had startled her. She looked around the library. The walls seemed closer, the silence heavier. A realization crept over her. This rabbit was not just a memory. It was a thread, connecting her to someone, somewhere, in ways she didn't yet understand. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the spell. It was a message from the woman she had met yesterday. "I think you're ready to know the rest. Come by when you can." Emily stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. Something in her chest told her that this was bigger than a simple toy. This was the start of uncovering a story that had been waiting for her all along. And maybe, just maybe, it would change everything she thought she knew about her past. Emily's steps were quick as she walked back to the ivy-covered house. The rabbit, clutched tightly against her chest, seemed to pulse with memory, almost urging her forward. Her mind raced with questions. Who was Lily Henderson? Why did the photograph feel like it was pointing directly at her? And most pressing of all, what exactly did the woman want to tell her? The woman was in the kitchen when Emily arrived. She looked up and smiled, her eyes warm but carrying a gravity that made Emily hesitate. "I'm glad you came," she said. "I have something you need to see." Emily followed her silently into the living room. The woman led her to a small wooden chest tucked in a corner. Its surface was scratched and faded with age. "This belonged to Lily Henderson," the woman said. She was part of my family. That rabbit was hers, and now, it seems, it's found its way to you for a reason." Emily's fingers hovered over the chest. "But why me? I don't understand. I wasn't even here when she lived here." Sometimes, the past has a way of reaching across time. Some stories don't end when they should. And sometimes, they choose the person who needs them most. Emily swallowed hard, her chest tight with a mix of fear and curiosity. The woman opened the chest, revealing layers of old letters, photographs, and carefully kept keepsakes. Emily knelt beside it, drawn to the life of someone she had never met, yet felt inexplicably connected to. There was a letter, yellowed and fragile, addressed simply, "To the one who finds this." Emily's hands shook as she opened it. The handwriting was careful, almost delicate. It spoke of dreams, of longing, of a world that seemed both magical and painful. A child reaching for something she could not yet name. Emily read the words aloud quietly, each one pulling her deeper into Lily Henderson's story. "The rabbit," Emily whispered, tracing the faded ink. She wanted someone to remember her, to carry her story. The woman nodded. "Yes, Lily disappeared many years ago. No one ever knew exactly why. But before she left, she wanted to leave behind a piece of herself, something that would survive, that would find its way to the right person." Emily's mind spun. Disappeared? The thought was chilling. But as she held the rabbit again, she realized it wasn't just a toy. It was a lifeline, a bridge between a past she hadn't known and a present she couldn't ignore. Do you think she knew me?" Emily asked, almost afraid of the answer. "Perhaps. Or perhaps she knew someone like you would need her. Someone who could understand what it meant to lose and to find." The chest also held a small diary, its cover worn with love and use. Emily opened it and found entries that mirrored the emotions she had been feeling in her own life: fear of the unknown, hope for a better future, and a longing for connection. It was as if Lily Henderson had lived every feeling Emily had carried to Willow Creek. Emily spent the afternoon absorbed in the diary, feeling an unusual warmth and sadness in equal measure. Each page revealed a girl growing up with dreams and doubts that seemed eerily familiar. The last entry was incomplete, ending mid-sentence, as if she had been interrupted by life itself. Emily closed the diary, her eyes lingering on the rabbit. It was more than a toy. It was a message, a reminder that even when we feel lost, someone or something might guide us to where we are meant to be. The rabbit had traveled years and miles to reach her, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that it had a purpose she had yet to uncover. That night, as she returned to her apartment, Emily placed the rabbit on her nightstand. She stared at it, pondering the possibilities. Who else might know about Lily Henderson? What had happened to her? And most of all, why now? A soft knock at her door startled her. Emily froze. It was late, almost 10:45 p.m., and she wasn't expecting anyone. Her heart raced as she walked carefully to the door and peered through the peephole. Outside stood a young man, maybe in his mid-20s, with dark hair and a hesitant smile. "Emily?" he asked softly. I think we need to talk about Lily." Her chest tightened, and the rabbit felt heavier in her arms. The story was far from over, and somehow she knew this encounter was only the beginning. Emily's hands trembled as she opened the door. The young man standing there looked nervous, his eyes scanning the hallway as if expecting someone else to appear. "I'm Alex," he said, his voice steady despite the tension. I knew Lily Henderson, or, well, I knew about her. I think it's time you understood." Emily invited him in, and they sat at her small kitchen table. The rabbit rested between them, a quiet witness to the conversation that was about to unfold. Alex took a deep breath. "Lily was my cousin. She disappeared when she was 12. The whole town searched for her, but no one ever found anything. Except she left behind clues, little things she hoped someone would follow one day." Emily felt her pulse quicken. "Clues? What kind of clues?" Alex opened a small notebook from his jacket. Things she wrote, objects she kept. She wanted to tell her story. She wanted someone who could understand, someone who could finish what she started. And this rabbit, it was the first clue. It was always meant to find the right person. Emily stared at the toy, her heart heavy with awe and disbelief. She had thought it was just a memory, a strange coincidence. Now, it was clear it was something far more profound, an intentional bridge from the past to the present. Alex continued, "There are letters hidden around town, pieces of her life left behind. She wanted someone to put them together, to uncover the truth of what happened. I've been looking for years, but I never expected it to come to you." Emily felt a wave of emotion wash over her. Part of her wanted to run, to leave the rabbit behind and pretend it had all been a dream. But another part, deeper and insistent, urged her forward. This was her chance to step into something bigger than herself. Together, they planned their next steps. Emily would visit places mentioned in the diary and the letters. Alex would provide guidance, having grown up hearing stories of Lily's life. Each clue they uncovered would bring them closer to understanding not only what had happened to her cousin, but why this story had chosen Emily. The first destination was the old Henderson family summer cabin at the edge of town. The building had been abandoned for years, and many locals avoided it, whispering tales of strange noises and shadows. But Emily felt no fear, only a strange, compelling sense of purpose. As they arrived, the cabin loomed against the twilight sky, its windows dark and weathered. The air smelled of pine and earth, and the wind stirred leaves across the broken path. Emily clutched the rabbit, feeling the worn fabric under her fingers. It was as though Lily herself had guided her to this place. Inside, dust motes danced in the fading light. Old furniture sagged under years of neglect, and cobwebs clung to the corners. Emily's eyes scanned the room, taking in every detail. Then, tucked beneath a floorboard near the fireplace, she found it, a small locked box. Alex knelt beside her. "This is it," he whispered. "I think this is what she wanted you to find." Emily's hands shook as she lifted the box. The lock was old, but her fingers somehow found the mechanism, and it clicked open. Inside were letters, photographs, and a small folded map with notes in Lily's careful handwriting. Reading through them, Emily felt the pieces of Lily's life fall into place. There were stories of loneliness, secret dreams, friendships that had mattered, and a plan she had made before disappearing. The rabbit had been the first breadcrumb, leading Emily to the rest of the path. But as she traced the final note on the map, a chill ran down her spine. There was a name, someone she had never heard before, and a warning: do not trust everyone. Some secrets are dangerous. Emily looked up at Alex, her heart pounding. Questions swirled in her mind. Who could Lily have meant? And what dangers still lingered in the shadows of her story? That night, back at her apartment, Emily stared at the rabbit and the map spread out on her bed. She realized that solving Lily's mystery was not just about uncovering the past. It was about discovering courage, trust, and the meaning of connection, lessons Lily had left behind for her, hidden in plain sight. A sudden knock at the window startled her. She turned to see a figure, barely visible in the dim streetlight, standing in the shadows. Emily's heart skipped. Whoever it was, they had been watching, and they knew about Lily. Emily's pulse raced as she stared at the shadow outside her window. She gripped the rabbit tightly, feeling its familiar weight grounding her. The figure didn't move at first, just stood there, in silence. Finally, after a long moment, they stepped forward into the pale streetlight. It was the woman from the porch, but tonight her face held urgency, something Emily hadn't seen before. "Emily," she called softly, "you need to come with me. There's more to Lily's story, things you weren't meant to discover alone." Emily grabbed her coat and followed. Alex met them outside, and together they walked in the direction the woman led. The night was still, with only the rustle of leaves beneath their feet and the distant hum of the town. Emily felt a mixture of fear and anticipation. This was the final step, the moment she would finally uncover the truth. They arrived at a small, secluded garden behind an old stone house. Candles flickered faintly along the path, illuminating a worn bench beneath a large oak tree. On the bench sat a man, perhaps in his early 50s, looking anxious yet expectant. His eyes widened as Emily approached. "Emily," he said, voice trembling, "I think it's time you knew everything." The woman from the porch nodded. "This is Daniel. He was Lily's neighbor and friend. He kept her letters and diary safe after she disappeared. He's the only person who knows the full story." Emily sank onto the bench, feeling the weight of the rabbit in her lap. Daniel's gaze softened as he began. Lily was clever and brave. She knew some people might try to stop her from telling the truth. She wanted to protect herself and her story. That's why she left breadcrumbs, letters, notes, this rabbit. Each piece was meant for someone she trusted, someone who could carry her message forward. Emily listened, her mind piecing together years of mystery. Lily had disappeared not because she was in danger, but because she had been protecting something precious, a collection of letters and memories she feared would be lost if exposed too soon. Her rabbit, once a simple toy, had become a beacon, guiding Emily to uncover it. Daniel leaned forward. "And now, Emily, it's your turn. You followed the trail, understood her words, and respected her wishes. You can finally help Lily's story reach the world. Give her the voice she wanted all along. Emily's hands tightened around the rabbit. The weight of responsibility, of trust, settled on her shoulders. But she felt a sense of peace, too. For years, she had wondered if she would ever make a difference, if she could matter in someone's story. And now, she could. Over the next few days, Emily, Alex, and Daniel carefully compiled Lily's letters, photographs, and diary entries. Each item told a story of hope, loss, courage, and the longing for connection. Emily realized that her own life had intertwined with Lily's in ways she could never have predicted. The rabbit had been the key, the bridge between past and present, guiding her to discover her own strength and compassion. On the final evening, Emily walked through the streets of Willow Creek, the rabbit tucked under her arm, feeling a sense of closure and purpose. The town no longer felt like a stranger's dream. It was alive with stories, connections, and memories that she had helped uncover. As she returned to her apartment, she placed the rabbit on the nightstand once more. Its threadbare fur seemed almost to glow in the soft lamplight. Emily whispered a quiet thank you, not just for the rabbit, but for Lily Henderson, whose story had changed her life. In the days that followed, the townspeople marveled as Emily and Alex shared Lily's story, a tale of courage, memory, and the invisible threads that connect us across time. Emily realized that sometimes the smallest things, a toy, a letter, a simple act of curiosity, could unlock worlds, heal hearts, and bridge generations. And as she sat on her balcony that night, watching the first stars appear, Emily felt a quiet certainty. Life had a way of bringing the lost home, of weaving stories together, and of reminding us that even the smallest clues can lead to the greatest discoveries. The rabbit remained by her side, a faithful companion, a symbol of a past reclaimed and a future yet to be written. Emily smiled softly, knowing that some mysteries are meant to be shared, and some memories are meant to guide us home. The story of Lily Henderson had finally found its voice, and in finding it, Emily had found herself.